What's up, guys? You watched the first few minutes of the part 5 video and the last few minutes of the part 5 video, you would know that it was super late for us when we recorded that segment.
Yeah, it was almost reaching midnight.
Yeah, and he can't sleep very late. I can, but I would be delirious. So, this like a different day. It's like what, a week after the last one was recorded?
Half a week
Yeah,
or ish, I don't know.
a couple of days. But now we can explain one of my favorite parts of JoJo, which is part 6. I reread this entire thing just for this presentation, so hopefully I know a lot of the things that happen and I can be more specific, unlike part 5, which I just said they beat drugs and then they win.
That's a relief start, I guess.
How do I start? Okay, so this is our main character of part 6. She's a girl.
Okay, that's a first.
Yeah, that's a first. It's new. You would think that like this is part of like the feminist movement
Mhm.
because in recent years they're pushing for more female protagonists.
Yeah. Hmm.
But this was actually written in like 1997 or something.
Oh, okay.
So Araki is just like, yeah, I just want a female protagonist because I think that would be cool. And the name of the part is Stone Ocean. I'll explain that later. Her name is Jolene. She's named after a Dolly Parton song, which is titled Jolene.
Oh, okay.
All right. So first of all, we have the family tree so far.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see like the trend, right? Part 1 is like the guy.
Yeah.
Part 2 is the grandson of the guy, and part 3 is the grandson of the guy.
Now it's like directly the daughter.
Now it's like directly the
There's
daughter.
no
This is directly the
generation
son.
gap.
Yeah.
I guess because if it's like grandfather, then it would be like in the future, like 2030-ish or something, and they don't want that setting, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense.
Because usually when the author wrote each of the parts, they
Mhm.
always take place like when he first wrote it.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Like for example, this took place. Well, this took place like 1880, so I guess that doesn't apply. But
Yeah.
this is like 1990, right? He started writing this in like 1985 or something,
Mm.
and this took place in like 2000, and it was like 1994 or something.
Mhm.
This is actually the most futuristic part 6,
Mm.
because he wrote it in 2003. No, he wrote it in the year 2000, but the story takes place in 2010. So like he's jumping 10 years into the future. So this is how the part starts, okay? We see this woman and this like seemingly dead body,
Mm.
and we see the butterfly tattoo.
Mhm.
This is our main protagonist, Jolene Cujo. So what had happened was she sold this car, and she was with like someone she wanted to date, and he was speeding. But it was like raining, and he didn't look in front of him, and he had hit this person. And Jolene said, "Hey, why don't we just call the police?" And he said, "No, let's hide the body in the trunk of our car and then dump it somewhere." And she's like, "Okay, I guess."
That's stupid.
That
Okay.
is stupid. And then a few hours later, the police went to her house and say, "You're under arrest because you killed this man and then you like hid his body."
That was quick of the cops. Yeah.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason.
Okay.
So
See.
in here, so first she was arrested by the cops and she went to jail,
Mhm.
and now she's being transferred to a prison. I also feel like it's important for you to know that this takes place in Florida, America.
Okay.
She was in the process of being transferred from jail to prison. So they gave her like a bunch of stuff that she would probably need. And this
Did
all
they actually do that?
this like from the
Oh.
mom. I mean from the mom. Like family members can send like here's clothes and shit.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I thought the prison themselves. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. Mm.
Oh, and they're only giving it to her for the trial, not for like in actual prison.
Trial? Is that something that actually happens in the real world? I don't think so.
I mean I don't know, but like come on, you're not gonna go to trial with this outfit. I mean come on. And in one of the things that was given to her is this pendant or necklace. The mom said that this necklace was a present from your dad, and inside the pendant is a fragment of the stand arrow.
Ooh.
So, okay, just to explain again. So when this guy and this guy was alive, Dio took control of Jonathan's body, right?
Yes.
And Dio got stabbed with the arrow,
Hmm.
and that's why this guy and this guy had a stand. Oops.
Oh, but she wasn't born yet.
But she wasn't born yet. This guy was like 4 years old
Mm.
when Dio got stabbed. So he also got a stand from 4.
Mm-hmm.
and he was also suffering from the same thing as Holly,
Mm-hmm.
because he was so young he couldn't control the stand, and that's why she doesn't have a stand. And this is how she gets it by this pendant. So basically, Jotaro's not a good dad. So Jotaro got married to some woman and had Jolene, but he wasn't there for a majority of her life. He was either studying marine biology or he was doing something with the Speedwagon Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I still remember the Speedwagon Foundation.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. It's the most relevant in this part. So because she didn't have a father figure around, I guess she started to do like rebellious things.
Mm-hmm.
Like from like when she was 12, she joined like a biker gang or something, and she often stole like bikes and cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she's actually been in and out of jail a lot. But this is
Yeah.
like the first major crime that she was convicted for. So she hates Jotaro because bad dad.
Yeah. Makes sense.
While on the prison bus, she meets this person
Mm-hmm.
whose name is Hermes.
Yes. God of Speed, I think.
Mhm. But that's not why she was named Hermes.
Is it the band name?
I don't think it's a band name. I think it's a fashion brand.
So they're naming things from fashion brands now?
Because for part 5, right,
Mm.
the author said he wanted to draw beautiful men. And whenever they do a JoJo pose, that's actually a pose from an actual fashion magazine.
Oh.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I think
Okay.
in this part, he wanted to emphasize like a lot of the fashion aspects also. And I think that's why he named this character after a fashion brand.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Hermes has actually been in the prison before. And she says that, oh, if you want to survive here, you need some money.
Mm-hmm.
And she hides her money in like this thing. I
Okay.
don't know what that is, but she has money under it.
Mm-hmm.
But Jolene has no money, so she's locked. And for some reason, a string is coming out of Jolene's hand with
Yeah.
words on them. And she's so confused like this because when they were in the prison bus, Jolene could hear what the driver was saying.
Mm.
And the driver's like in a different section, right? So like the prisoners couldn't hear the driver. So Hermes was like, wait, what the fuck? How do you know what the driver was saying? The driver didn't say anything. I mean, like, how do I explain this? So the driver said
Didn't
something
hear it.
to another driver,
Oh. Okay.
like in the front seat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy in the passenger seat in the front
Mm-hmm.
told the same information to a guard in a different section.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm. But Hermes was like, "Hey, how do you know what that guy was gonna say?" Because we couldn't hear what the driver was saying. And it was because of
Oh.
this thing.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I understand now. Mm-hmm.
So this is her stand. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
her stand is called Stone Free.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, she can turn her body into string.
Okay.
So she can unravel, like in this part, like her whole leg is like being unraveled into string. But she can also like compact the string into something like Star Platinum, like this.
That's the wait. What's Star Platinum?
What the fuck? What do you mean what's Star Platinum? Okay, it's okay. So like this, she can compact it to make it manifest into like a humanoid looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not actually like humanoid. It's just like it's a bunch of string.
Mm-hmm.
And if she compacts it, and she punches someone with it, it hurts a lot. You need to remember that she is the stand. Her entire body can be turned into string.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And because the string is her body, if the string snaps, then she will take damage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And like these are like a bunch of things that she can do. You need to read it first.
That will, I think, take a really long time.
I can cut it.
Small but incredibly fast-moving meteor.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Later on they fight someone
Mm.
whose power is that he's able to summon a meteor.
And he just punches the meteor.
No.
Oh.
That's not how it works. So, she acclimates to her life in prison. And, okay, wait. I forgot to explain something. So, after she got the pendant, she touches it, right?
Mm.
And she realizes, like, oh, it's from my dad. I don't want it. So she throws it away after getting stabbed by the fragment of the arrow.
Oh. Mm.
Hmm. And she picks it up somehow. So later on, she'll get a stand also.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got in prison, she actually sold the pendant to one of the prisoners.
Oh. It's gonna spread like
Yeah.
a disease.
But
Everyone's gonna get stands.
but fortunately, her roommate in prison is the
Mhm.
one who got the pendant.
Oh.
So only the roommate has a stand.
Mm-hmm.
And after a bunch of fighting, they decided to go for a truce. They're not gonna fight each other anymore, and she gets back the pendant.
Okay.
So that first fight is to just show like how is she going to fight after getting a stand. So we get to see like her character and how smart she is and stuff like that. One day she meets this kid. This kid's
Kid
name is Emporio.
Emporio.
Is that a reference to something you know? Because I actually don't.
I also don't know.
Okay, so this kid says tomorrow at noon someone's gonna come see you, but you can't see that person. And she's like, "What the fuck? Why is there a kid here? Am I hallucinating?
Yeah,
How do you know the future? What is this?" And the kid says, "Here, take this boat."
he's in the trash can. Okay. Can
He
and
says, "Here, take this boat."
his phone. Okay. Getting weirder.
And at this point, as a reader, you're like, "What the fuck is happening, right?
Yeah.
Why is there a kid in a female only prison?
Mm-hmm.
And why does this kid give Jolene a boat?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered. I said I was gonna explain the name of the park, which is Stone Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So the prison is located near the ocean, and because it's a prison,
And
it's made of stone.
oh,
So it's
oh,
like Stone Ocean. That's it.
okay.
It's not that complicated.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the person who was gonna visit Jolene is Jotaro.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Dad, right?
Dad,
Yeah.
yeah. He's also the main character of Part 3,
Mm-hmm.
and he also shows up in Part 4.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Look at this man. He puts one hand in his pants pocket, and he puts another hand just coke.
I just realized that. Okay.
All right. So because he's a part of the Speedwagon Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Look, Jolene, if you come with me, I can let you out of prison early." Like she has like a 15-year sentence or something. And he was like, "If you work with me, I can get you out really early." But she said, "No, fuck you, Dad. I hate you. I'd rather spend my 10 years here rather than going with you." And they talk in a visiting room, right? And the guard who was overseeing this whole conversation, Jolene knocks out the guard, but then they get attacked by an enemy stand user. So they work together to try and defeat this enemy stand user. And they thought they successfully beat the stand user. But it turns out that was just a dream. Okay? They
Okay.
hallucinated fighting an enemy stand user.
Yes. Still following so far.
What had happened was that someone made like this wax, made a bunch of wax in his room. And while they were talking, they fell asleep and had a shared dream. And the only reason why Jolene woke up is because of the boat.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So basically, when she was talking with him, she was clutching the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and in the dream, she was while she was dreaming, she clutched the bone so hard that her hand started bleeding, and like that pain is what made her wake up.
Oh, so the bone's not special.
It's not special. It's just like a normal bone. Also, I don't know where he got the bone from. So they were like, "Oh, let's go after the stand user that made the wax."
Yeah.
But it turns out the stand user from the dream also exists.
Uh. Uh-huh.
So there's two stand users, okay?
Wait.
The guy okay, okay. So they fought this guy in the dream, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They thought he wasn't real. Like it was just like part of the dream.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy is actually real
Like in the real world,
in
right?
the
Not
real
in the
world.
dream world.
Yeah, in the real world.
There are two people.
There's two people. And I should probably explain to you what they were talking about. All right, so it turns out, right, her whole crime was like staged.
Okay.
So this
If
guy,
is the boyfriend also part of it?
the
I
boyfriend is
imagine.
part of it. This guy hired the boyfriend
Yeah,
to,
because it was the boyfriend's idea.
yeah, exactly. So this guy hired the boyfriend to do that, right? And the guy also arranged for the guy to die. Uh-huh. And you know how it was raining? I'm pretty sure he arranged that also.
Why is the rain important?
I think I don't remember, but I think the rain is significant for some reason. And the guy also arranged for her lawyer. So when she had to go to trial,
Mm,
this guy told her, "Hey, just take a plea bargain, so you get in faster. You get out faster."
mm,
But what had happened was she couldn't take the plea bargain, but she pleaded guilty. So she was fucked for 15 years. Instead of getting out in 5 years, she got a 15-year conviction.
yeah.
Uh-huh. So like this whole thing was staged. to get Jolene in jail. And because they thought they only needed to fight the guy with the wax, and they didn't realize there were actually two enemy stand users,
Mm.
this happens.
He dies.
He doesn't die.
Okay.
He gets two discs taken from him.
Taken from him.
Yes. So
They were inside him the whole time.
this guy's power is that he can take discs from people. These discs are like a manifestation of something. I don't remember which one's which, but one of them is a memory disc where it contains this guy's entire memories, and the other one is the stand disc.
Okay.
So if he takes the stand disc, he can't use his stand. The stand is stored in the disc.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And the second one is the memory disc. It contains all of this guy's memories.
Does he lose his memories?
So he loses his memories and he loses his stand. And that was the entire point of getting Jolene to prison.
Oh.
To lure
Okay.
this guy, to get his memories and his stand.
Yes. Following so far.
This guy's stand is
Mhm.
called White Snake. And he's also the one who did all this. At this point, we don't know why he wants the discs or who he is. We don't know who the stand user is at this point. And then we cut back to Hermes, who now has a stand. The stand name is Kiss, and her ability is to create stickers. Wait, do I need to explain her stand? I don't think I'll mention it ever again, but do you just want to know the power, or...
Yeah, I wanna know the power. What do the stickers do?
So, she can produce a sticker and attach it to an object.
Mhm.
When she attaches a sticker to an object, the object will multiply.
Wait, I feel like I've heard this before.
I explained it before, but I cut it in the previous videos.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I can explain it again here. The object will multiply. Let's say I put a sticker on your phone. Now there's going to be two phones.
Oh, and if you remove the sticker, I remember the phones just clash together.
They clash together, yes. One of the things that she often does is that she puts a sticker on a person. Let's say if she puts it on someone's arm, they will have two arms. And if she takes it off, the arms will clash together. So she actually fights another stand user. And it turns out this mysterious figure has like a bunch of stands in the form of discs. And he gave it to a bunch of people.
So they can use it now.
All they need to do is have a disc and put it in their head. And then they can use the stand.
Mhm.
And she fought one of these people who had one of the stand discs. And after she fought the person, the disc went out. So now she has the disc. And when she put the disc inside of her, she can see the memories of the disc, essentially.
Yes.
Are you following me so far? Because this is
Yeah.
confusing as shit.
Following, surprisingly, yes.
So from the memory, she sees the location where the discs are stored. So now they like, okay, we need to go to this place where all the discs are, so we can look for my dad's disc.
Hmm.
You're following, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh my god, okay.
I'm actually following.
So this is the prison warden, and the prison warden gathered all of the inmates. He says like, this morning, 2 prisoners went to work, but they're missing. So he wants some volunteers to go look for them. And Joe's like, this is our one chance to like freely roam around. So we have a chance to find this location.
Hmm.
So because Jolene volunteers, Hermes also volunteers because they're like friends now. But they can't really freely roam because they're prisoners, right? So what this guy did was like, whoever is volunteering, they need to wear these bracelets on their neck. And if the person wearing the bracelet is 50 meters away or more than the guard who's watching over them, who has the remote, the bracelet will automatically self-destruct. The guard also has the remote that can manually self-destruct the bracelet.
Okay.
So they have this condition where they need to be within a 50-meter radius of this guard, or else they will literally die.
I mean, like at that point, why not just ask the guard to search around?
They want to punish the prisoners or something? I don't know. The number of people volunteering is 5 people. But when they reach the farm, there's 6 girls. So Jolene's like, wait, I only remember them being 5 girls. Why is there 6 people here? So one of them is an enemy stand user. And the enemy stand user is Foo Fighters, which is not even human. Go ahead and read.
It's a plankton.
It's a bunch of planktons. It's like 1,000 of these things. So if you ask me whether this thing is a stand or an animal or whatever, the answer is that this is an entirely new species, I think. Like that's written in the show, I mean in the manga.
Okay.
Like this is a new species that exists because of this stand disc. And because it's a bunch of plankton, it doesn't necessarily need to be in this shape. This is just the form it decides to manifest it. What it can actually do is that it can inhabit a corpse.
Oh, okay.
But because it is plankton, it needs to constantly drink water or else it'll die.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That is like one of Foo Fighters' biggest weakness is that it needs to have a consistent source of water. Like for example, the farm is located near a marsh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they were fighting in the marsh, Foo Fighters fight no problem. But
Yeah.
once they get far away from a source of water, whenever it tries to walk, it'll like slowly get smaller because the plankton slowly die off, so it can't maintain its shape. What Foo Fighters decide to do? I'm gonna kill the guard who has the remote, and then I'm gonna put the guard on a car, start the car, so the guard's body will run far away. And Jolene was like, if that happens, we're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
But both of us can't go to the guard. Because if both of us go to the guard, who's gonna get the stand discs?
Yes.
So Hermes goes for the guard, and Jolene goes for the discs. And Jolene had the chance to kill Foo Fighters, but she said no.
Because
Foo Fighters isn't actually evil. Like, imagine if you weren't sentient, and then all of a sudden you are sentient. You're like, what the fuck? And the only reason why they're fighting Jolene is to protect the discs in the warehouse.
yes.
So Jolene says, like, hey, I know you don't actually want to kill us, you're just doing a mission. What if, instead of protecting the discs from the guy, you protect it for us? So now they're friends.
Ooh, okay. That
Alright.
was easy.
Now,
Mm.
you say easy, but like, you know, all the volunteers, they all died. The guard died. Jolene almost died. Hermes almost died. It's not easy. For how long Stone Ocean is, there are so many times where our main character gets like brutally injured, and their injuries don't magically heal. They get carried over.
I understand what you mean by carried over.
They're in a prison. They can't get good health care there.
Yeah.
But fortunately, because this guy is essentially plankton, Foo Fighters can put some of itself in someone's body to accelerate the natural healing. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a healer, but not really. It's just like it helps a bit. So among the many discs that are in the warehouse, Jotaro's stand disc is there, but not his memory disc. So Foo Fighters tells them the discs that are in here are the useless ones.
Mhm.
The
So what happens to Jotaro now? Does he just like turn into like a person with Alzheimer's?
No, he's in a
And
vegetative state.
Oh, okay.
I think that if only one disc is taken out of you, you can function like a normal human.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if both discs are taken out, you're in a vegetative state. And he will soon die if he doesn't get the discs back. What was I saying?
Foo Fighters said that the disc in the warehouse are not important.
Aha. The discs in the
Something?
warehouse aren't important, but Jotaro's stand disc is in there. They managed to find it. And so Jolene was like, hey, I'm gonna call the Speedwagon Foundation to tell them that I have Jotaro's disc. And if you put it back in him, he won't die. And the Speedwagon representative said, okay, we believe you. And he said that we can't go to the prison to take it for you. You need to go to the prison courtyard and bring the disc there. We'll send someone to get it from you, from the courtyard. We can't do it officially. So now her mission is to get to the courtyard with the disc safely. There's a lot of problems with that. First of all, if you want to go to the courtyard, you need an authorized ID, and only some prisoners have that, and she doesn't. Second of all, it is difficult to get from the women's prison to the courtyard. And the third issue is that they might run into enemy stand users. So remember Emporio, who is the little kid who gave Jolene the bone?
Yeah.
His stand name is like the burning house on fire or something. His power is that he's able to make a ghost room in the prison.
Okay.
So this prison is only accessible to him and people he invites. This room doesn't physically exist. It spiritually exists, but you can physically interact with it because it's a stand.
Wait, the stand is the room?
The stand is the room.
Oh, okay.
That's how he's been living in the prison this whole time without anyone catching him. And within the room, he can also make ghost objects.
Okay.
Like, for example, this trash can, that's not a real trash can. That's a ghost trash can that he made. And within the ghost room that he created, and which is his hideout, there are two people. One of them is this guy. His name is Weather Report. His stand name is also Weather Report. Do you want to guess what it does?
Does it tell you the weather?
It controls the weather.
That's slightly more important, more useful.
Yeah, it'll just tell you the weather. Like, today's sunny, today's raining. There are multiple layers to his ability. Like, he doesn't control the weather of the whole world. He can do large-scale weather-related things. Like, for example, summon a tornado or make it rain.
Yeah.
But because they're in a prison, you know, that's like useless.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's raining or there's a tornado, you're all inside a prison building. He can also do like small scale stuff. Like, for example, he can make clouds appear near his head. There's also another guy, which I'll explain later because he's not useful right now. So Emporio says this guy will help you.
So at this point, Emporio is still this mysterious character? Do we know how he got his stand?
I don't remember. I think he's a natural born stand user. He has to be. How does he know about Jotaro going to visit Jolene? I don't remember. Is there any other questions?
No.
Because most of the answers is I don't know, I don't remember. Alright, so this guy had his memory disk taken from him.
The weather report?
Yes.
Okay, so he's useless now.
What? No. He has
Oh,
his
memory.
his memory.
I exchanged it. Yeah,
But
okay.
he has his stand disk, which means that he's a what's it called? Amnesiac?
Yeah.
So he has
yeah.
a motive for fighting this disc stand. Because he wants to get his memory back. On their way from the prison to the courtyard, they fight an enemy stand user, and it resulted in Weather Report getting very, very injured. But they beat the enemy. And the enemy had a user ID. So it's perfect. They can use the ID to open the gates to the courtyard. But once they use the card, there's a person on the other side of the gate because there's a panel on both sides, right? So imagine a gate, and
Yes.
the gate is attached to a wall, right?
Yeah.
And on both sides of the wall, there's a panel to insert your key card. And if you insert it on one side, on the other side, it tells you that this ID card has been inserted, like number 3074 or something. So the person on the other side recognizes the ID number, and they're like, "Are you back after defeating Jolene already?" And Jolene's like, "Oh shit, this is like the boss." And do I have a picture? Yeah, it's this guy. You might look at this image and think, "Oh, he's a black character."
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, you can't assume things, Wilson. It's not canonically stated that he's black. Because, okay, there's gonna be something I need to explain. It's very complicated, also very confusing, and basically, he may or may not be black, but he's probably not black. Okay?
Okay.
Because if he is black, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
Okay. So he's a priest. He's the priest of the prison.
Mhm.
And he's the one with the stand who can take discs.
Oh, okay. So he's the mystery character
He's
from the
the mystery
beginning.
character, yes. And he's the one who's been giving all these people their stand discs.
Mhm.
And he's also the person who took Jotaro's memory and stand disc.
Yeah.
His name is Poochie. Okay. Why is it funny? It's just his name.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that coming from like the villain.
What did you think his name was?
Something more ominous.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, the gates were still closed. So Jolene doesn't know who's on the other side. And because he started talking when the gates were not open yet, he also doesn't know who's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So Jolene says, "Hey, Weather Report, go hide yourself. Because if this is another enemy, they're gonna kill you."
Because he's weak,
Because
right?
he's weak and he's injured.
Yeah.
So this guy doesn't know that Weather Report is there. But Jolene talks to this guy because at this point Jolene just thinks he's a normal priest. Because like his words is like, "Hey, prisoner, whatever, can you come to the chapel with me?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's just like church-related things, I guess." But Poochie knows who Jolene is, but he doesn't try to kill her directly. Because at this point, he knows that she doesn't know who he is.
Wait, I thought Jolene knew who the priest was.
No, Jolene just thought he was a priest. Jolene doesn't know he's an enemy.
Because like the priest said, like, "Are you back after killing Jolene or something?" I thought he said something like that.
No, he just said, "Oh, are you back?" And he didn't say after killing Jolene. I'm sorry. So Jolene just talked to this priest like, "Hey, I need to go to the courtyard for 5 minutes. I'm sorry. Can you just let me through?" And he was like, "Oh, so she doesn't know I'm evil. I'll pretend to be nice to her, but once she's in the courtyard, I'll send out my stand to attack her." Most stands have a range. Like for example, Jotaro's stand is named Star Platinum. Its range is only 2 meters. It can't punch past 2 meters.
Okay.
But this guy's stand isn't like a punching type. So his range is 15 meters. He can summon his stand in a 15-meter radius of himself. So after she's in the courtyard, he's able to hide himself and summon the stand. So it turns out that this guy is a follower of Dio.
Ooh, okay. Wait, Dio's already dead, right?
Dio's dead at this point, yes. So Poochie met Dio a while back, like when he was like 14 or something. And because he met Dio, he decided to become a priest. They have a continuous friendship, and at some point they were talking about heaven, the idea of heaven. And so he asked, like, "Oh, how would you achieve your idea of heaven?" But Dio doesn't say it to him. Dio wrote all the steps required to go to heaven in his notebook. But when Jotaro killed Dio, he also went to like Dio's room and stuff to see like all his possessions.
So that's why he wants the memory?
That's why he wants a memory, because before Jotaro burned the notebook, he read the whole thing. So that's why this whole thing was staged. That's why Jolene was purposely sent to prison to go get Jotaro, to go get the memory of the notebook. Now Jolene is in the courtyard, but there's a guard in the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
Pucci had inserted a disc into this guard. And he can actually send instructions in the disc.
Oh, okay.
So the instructions he put in this guard's disc was shoot Jolene Cujo. So she gets shot 3 times. And because she's literally dying, because she got shot 3 times, weather report was like, I need to do something or else she'll die. So he summons a weather phenomenon. And as you've seen from this image, it's a bunch of frogs.
It's nah. Raining frogs are actually a real thing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So doesn't make. I mean, like it
It makes
makes
sense.
more sense than it does. Yeah. Than it seems.
And all these frogs are poison dart frogs.
That part does not make sense. Okay.
All of these frogs are poison dart frogs.
Wow. Okay.
And in this panel, it seems like maybe there's 20 of them, right? No, there are hundreds of these frogs flying down in the sky. And one of the frogs hits the guard's face. And his face just starts drooping or like fucking being melted or some shit. Which I'm pretty sure that's not how the poison works. But that's how it's depicted.
Yeah. No.
That's how it was
Okay.
depicted. Okay? So Poochie's like, what the fuck is this shit? Why is it raining frogs?
When it hit Jolene too.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
when the report was like, I'm sorry, you need to find a way to protect yourself. But remember what Jolene's stand is?
String. Turn into string.
She can turn into string. So she just turned a part of her body into string, and she wove like a cover to cover herself. At this point, this whole courtyard is filled with frogs. Like to the point where you can't see the floor. So Poochie was like, well, since there's so many frogs, Jolene must have died. Because like, how is she gonna evade literally hundreds of frogs flying down in the sky in an injured state?
Yeah.
So he sends out his stand, White Snake, to retrieve the stand disc.
Jolene's, right?
Jolene's, to receive Jotaro's stand disc, because Jolene was carrying it.
Oh. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And after she got shot, she dropped the disc somewhere. So he was like, okay, I'll send my stand out to find it. Because poison doesn't affect stands. But it turns out Jolene did not die. She used her string to tie a bunch of dead frogs together. And she put the frogs close to her body, not to the point where it was touching her body, but if frogs were to hit her body, it wouldn't hit her body, it would hit the frogs that she used as a cushion. Did that make sense?
Wait.
She strung a bunch of frogs together,
Yeah.
surrounded her entire body with it, but not to the point where she was touching the frogs.
Yes.
So when frogs rained down, it would hit like this cushion.
Yes. Okay.
So Poochie found a disc, and then Jolene's like, aha, I'm not dead. And then she got the disc, and she was like, I figured it out. The Speedwagon Foundation didn't send a person, they sent a bird. So she threw the disc to the bird. And Poochie's like, my stand is at long range, so I'm gonna take this guard's gun and try to shoot at the bird. But the guard used all his ammo while shooting at Jolene, so the bird got away safely.
Oh. Okay.
I just realized that this is ATGC.
That's DNA,
Yeah,
right?
that's DNA. Why? Why?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Alright, so Jolene has successfully given the stand disc to the Speedwagon Foundation.
What if a disc breaks? Does that mean it's just gone forever?
Yes, but because the disc is like a manifestation of a stand, you can't break it physically.
Then how do you break it?
The only way to break it is to put it in someone who's dying. And if they're dead, the disc also dies.
Okay, that's interesting.
Somehow, Jolene survives Whitesnake, okay? And then she gets away and she's healing up. Now, we cut to Hermes. So, Hermes had a sister named Gloria. Gloria owned a restaurant somewhere in America. And then, while she was like taking out the trash in an alleyway, she saw a murder occurring. And she was like, I'm going to pretend to not see anything. And then the police went up to her. And the police said, would you testify in this court case so we can catch the murderer finally, because we've been trying to catch this guy for like years now, and we finally have a lead. But the police didn't protect her. They didn't put her in witness protection, so she died, and the murderer got away.
Stupid. Okay.
I know it's
Yeah.
stupid. And the manga said like that it wasn't her fault at all. She didn't do anything wrong. It was all the police's fault. But the guy who the police was trying to catch, eventually made his way to prison. So Hermes was like, I'm gonna purposely go into prison so I can kill this guy.
Mhm.
And this guy was given a stand by Pucci. His stand is to reanimate the dead. And the reason why Pucci gave this guy that stand is because Pucci had Dio's bone. So Pucci
Yeah.
was like, can you use that stand to bring Dio back to life?
Oh.
But he wasn't able to. And so Hermes tries to fight this guy, and Jolene comes and helps her. And at the end of it, Hermes is extremely injured. And the prison guard found Hermes, an extremely injured Hermes, Jolene, and this dead prisoner. So they were like, what the fuck is happening? Why are you always injured? Or why are the people around you always injured or dead? So she's sent to Ultra Security Punishment Ward, which is like isolation essentially. And Pucci's like, perfect, she's gonna be alone in the isolation ward. So I'm gonna send a bunch of stand users to the ward to kill her. But she had a reason for going to the ward, which I don't remember. Oh yeah, this is the part I was talking about. The part where like, oh, can you revive Dio? All right, so Emporio is concerned. It's like, hey, Julene's going to an isolation ward by herself. The enemy is probably gonna send enemies to her. So we need to help her. And remember when inside his room there were two guys?
Hmm?
This is the other one. His name is Anasui. And yeah, you can read the panel for yourself. Apparently, Anasui wants to marry Jolene. So they fight a bunch of people in the ward. And how? Dio's bone was in the ward.
Are you not gonna mention this guy's stand?
Right. His stance name is Diver Down. It is able to store energy. For example, let's say I'm Anasui and I have to stand.
Yeah.
I can put my stand inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you get hit.
Oh.
Instead of you taking the hit, the stand will take a hit. And the stand is able to store that kinetic energy and send it back at the opponent. Or, for example, normally, Diver Down is weak enough to the point where it is not able to punch solid steel. But if it absorbed enough kinetic energy, it can like release it to break the steel.
Yeah.
Or number two, it can go inside the steel and break it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it can enter stuff and it can store energy. So they saw this guy's stand disc, right? And they saw this memory. And they
Mhm.
found out that the bone was in the punishment ward. That's why Jolene wants to go to find the bone. And after they fight a bunch of stand users, they
Mhm.
track down the person who was holding the bone. But when that happened, this shit happened.
Yeah. I don't understand what's happening.
The guy who was holding the bone is turning into a tree. And this is happening with all the other dead people in the punishment ward. And Jolene was also turning into a tree. But they found out that you only grow if you're in sunlight. So you need to get out of sunlight. And within one of these tree plant things is this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a green baby. That is the Joestar birthmark. Every single Joestar has a star on them. So when Dio met Pucci, Dio was in Jonathan's body.
Yes.
And he gave Pucci his bone, which is actually Jonathan's bone.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
So this is essentially Dio, but with a Joestar birthmark because of Jonathan's body.
Wait, so Dio got revived again,
Think of it as a reincarnation of Dio.
and we still don't know what's causing the plant thing.
It's this thing. This thing is causing the plant thing.
The reincarnation of Dio?
Yes.
Wait, but why did Dio reincarnate in the first place?
We're gonna
What
explain that
triggered
later.
it? Okay.
Alright, so Jolene doesn't know what this thing is. But Jolene is like, why the fuck is there a green baby? It's probably evil. I'm gonna go kill it. But before she kills it, she's like, we need to escape the punishment ward because there's literally 30 people dead in here. So they escape first, and they bring the baby with them. And while they escaped the prison ward, Foo Fighter is tracking down all the people with the stand disc. Take the stand disc out to make sure like they don't attack them again.
Okay, yeah.
And that's when she meets the priest. So what had happened was they escaped the punishment ward and they get a boat and they travel to one of the marshlands. And the baby crawls out of the boat or something.
Okay.
And as they were trying to chase this baby, they realized that no matter how fast they're running, the distance between them and the baby remains the same. So one of the abilities of this baby is that it is able to have the distance between itself and an enemy.
Like one half.
Yes.
That half. Okay.
Yes. So it's like you will never be able to reach the baby because if you keep dividing by 2, it's not equals to 0.
So it's like the Zeno's paradox thing.
Yes.
Ah.
And after some shit that I honestly didn't want to read because I know it's complicated as fuck, they managed to get the baby.
Okay.
Mind you, they almost died again.
Mhm.
So they almost died fighting these guys, and then they almost died because of the baby. And now Poochie shows up.
Yeah.
Poochie and Foo Fighters fight each other. And Foo Fighters is almost dead. But
Mhm.
she had a walkie-talkie with her. He called weather report. Hey, can you make it rain so I don't die? And so he made it rain.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Right. And she manages to escape, right?
Mhm.
And she decides to go to Jolene because the three of us can probably beat this one guy. But because of the rain, this stand was able to disguise itself as weather report.
Wait, how does that make sense?
I think the stand was like able to make like low level hallucinations, like when he made Jolene dream.
Oh, okay.
So like I don't know, something related to that, I guess. He disguised himself as weather report. And weather report doesn't talk much. So if he just shuts the fuck up, people just don't know the difference. So Foo Fighters and the stand make their way to Jolene and Anasui, and that's when this happens. So Anasui is very injured and is almost gonna die. And Foo Fighters is also extremely injured and is gonna die. But her stand disc is taken out. And Jolene decides to fight Poochie. Because,
Yeah.
you know, you almost killed my friends, I'm gonna fight you. And Poochie was like, I have your dad's memory disc with me, and I'm gonna throw it inside Anasui. Now you have a choice. Kill me, or you have the choice to save Anasui to get your father's memory disc. Because if Anasui dies and the memory disc is inside of him, the memory will die. So Jolene decides to save Anasui.
The bad guy escapes.
So the bad guy escapes with the baby. Anasui is so injured that unless he receives medical care instantly, he's gonna die. And they're in the middle of the marshlands. So he's not gonna get, you know. So Anasui tells Foo Fighters, look, just use my body. It's okay if I die. Just inhabit my body so you can keep on living. But Foo Fighters was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna heal you. But because I healed you, I can't live anymore. So she dies. They die. Also, I just want to say, in the year 2000, the author wrote a main female character, technically a non-binary character.
Yeah.
Number 3, a male character that dresses like this, and if you actually watch part 5, that shit's hella gay. So, you know, this is like very progressive for that time period, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta respect it. And once he got to the baby, he says these words.
Seems like random words.
And once he says the final word, the baby wakes up, and it goes to him,
Mhm.
and it merges with him. So now he has the Joestar birthmark.
Okay.
And now we get the explanation to this whole thing, Wilson.
Good.
In order for Dio to achieve heaven, he needs someone trustworthy, which is Poochie. And this trustworthy person must put their faith in humankind. The next thing that he needs is for Dio's stand to die. Dio needs to kill his own stand momentarily. But before he kills his own stand, he needs to engrave 14 phrases into his stand. So when the stand revives, they know the person who says these phrases, they're an ally.
Wait, so those phrases are the ones that Poochie said.
Yeah, Poochie said. And in order to revive the stand, he needs to kill 36 humans who have sinned.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's why they turn into plants. The final step is that once you combine with the green baby, you need to go to a specific location. Basically, Poochie needs to go to Cape Canaveral? Carnival?
Oh, that is real. I
Uh-huh.
think that is where they launch rockets into space.
Poochie needs to be somewhere in Cape Canaveral at a specific point in time. Like, let's say 30th of October, he needs to be in this specific coordinate, and then he is able to achieve the heaven that Dio envisions. Oh, yeah, the new moon has to be out. That's why the date. Like,
Mhm.
the new moon comes out on like the 30th, let's say, okay? So Jolene doesn't know about this whole heaven thing, but she
Mm.
knows that Poochie is going out of the prison and he's going to Cape Canaveral. Carnival?
Mhm.
So they all escape from prison.
Mhm.
Don't say it's easy. The prison escape fight is very interesting, but also it's not relevant to the overall arc. But it's really good. Remember when I told you that bloodlines have a spiritual connection?
Mhm.
Because Poochie merged with the Green Baby, Poochie is technically a Joestar. And because of that, Dio's other sons are attracted to Poochie. So like they're from different parts of America or different parts of the world or whatever, but they all decided to go to where Poochie is for some like spiritual reason or something. These 3 people are considered the failed sons of Dio. Because they're like, look at them, they're ugly. Because Giorno, he inherited Dio's spirit, but he also inherited Jonathan's spirit. And so he's like a true son. Meanwhile, these guys only inherited Dio's like tragedy. So they're like incomplete sons or whatever. So Poochie's like, hey guys, help me fight Jolene. And they're like, no one has ever loved us, and you're giving us a chance. So like, I guess we'll listen to you. Alright. What is this? Tell me.
Green.
No. specifically.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
One of these guys' stats is Bohemian Rhapsody. It's this guy.
Oh, okay.
So his power is that he makes every single piece of drawing in the world real.
That's a lot of drawings.
Yes. For
Okay.
example,
Like
Mona
all at the
Lisa.
same time?
Yes, at the same time.
Wow, okay.
Mona Lisa, real. Escaped from the painting. Mickey Mouse, real. And all these drawings are chasing after Jolene and the gang. And they can't be killed because they're drawing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fucked. And they're like, wait, if all these drawings are coming to life, then I'm gonna do something big brain. So
Okay.
what he does is that he draws this character. And he says that this character cancels the effect of your stand. And then it comes to life and then the stand is over.
Okay. Okay.
Anything that is a drawing comes to life. And so he's like, yeah, this drawing is like this. And it comes to life. And you know?
Wow, okay.
Okay. Now, this guy's stand is called Sky High. Now, there are these things that exist in the world.
Okay.
And humans call them rods. Now, these things are small and they move extremely fast to the point where it's invisible to the human eye. The only reason why people know about them is because they were recording this specific area, and when they paused, there was like this blurry shit. And when they investigated it, it was like this organism. And his power is to control these organisms.
So like these organisms have like just existed like as a species or something for like a really long time, and then
Yes.
he just controls them.
He just
But
controls them.
people never know that they existed. Okay.
Basically, these are small things that can fly through the air really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
they're invisible.
Mhm.
And when they fly next to something or someone, it takes heat out. That's how it like eats and survives. So like if it flies near your neck, for example, the heat on your neck disappears, cutting off the connection with the brain. And after getting a helicopter or something, they manage to beat him or something. Doesn't matter. So while Poochie is waiting for the new moon to come, he's chilling at this hospital, and Jolene also goes to the hospital, and that's where they fight the final
Guy.
son. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember the sand's name, but I remember what it does.
Mhm.
So essentially, it can excavate memories of the earth. What does that mean?
I imagine. Do you remember Zhang second story? There's the guy that can touch stone, and then he sees the memory of the stone. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember.
I imagine it's something like that.
It's
Is
similar
it?
to that. So
Okay,
instead
good.
of viewing the memory through like a rock or something, his stand, which is a humanoid stand, it does a digging motion in the ground, and people within a specific radius around him is able to see the memory. But these memories are very specific, in which that he only excavates tragedies. For example, this plane is expected to crash on 9/30/2005. So Jolene is now within this airplane that is going to crash.
Wait, what?
Because this is a plane crash that happened in the past.
Yes.
And he digs up the memory, and now they're living inside the memory.
But they're living inside
Yeah.
the memory. Okay.
Okay. And this girl says this plane is gonna crash at this time on this date. And if Jolene continues living within the memory, she's gonna die because everyone on the plane dies. Unless there's a loophole. Like for example, yeah, all the people in this plane died except for the lady sitting in seat C, row 93 or whatever. So she needs to go to like that specific location if she wants to survive. And he keeps excavating memories, and she needs to keep like surviving essentially. But this guy wants to betray Poochie
Mhm.
because he thinks that, oh, you're looking down on me. Now that I know how to control this sand, I'm gonna betray you so no one's gonna boss me around. So Poochie was actually holding Weather Report's memory disk.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I'm gonna get Weather Report's memory disk and give it back to him so he can beat you.
What?
This guy wants to betray Poochie.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy steals Weather Report's memory disk from Poochie.
Yeah.
And then he gives the disk to Weather Report.
So Weather Report can help.
Yeah, to help beat this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Which also reminds me, Jolene now has Jotaro's memory disk, and she gave it back to the Speedwagon Foundation.
Yes. Okay.
So Weather gets his memory back. Now there's a rainbow. Okay. This is the complicated part that I was talking about.
Babies. What?
Weather Report and Poochie are twin brothers.
Oh.
That's not the part that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna explain. When they were born in this hospital, there was a mother who was also giving birth, but the child died from childbirth. So what the mother decided to do was like, oh, I'm gonna trade my dead baby for this alive baby. So they were separated at birth.
Yep.
Pucci grew up to be a priest and met Dio and became a follower of Dio. And when Pucci met Dio when he was 12, Dio gave Pucci a stand arrow. And this is a famous meme where Dio says, "Do you believe in gravity?" Alright, so when Pucci was like working like in a church or whatever as like a trainee, this mother decides to do like a confessional. But like the priest wasn't in there, so Pucci had to take over. And from this, Pucci finds out that his dead brother is actually alive.
Yeah, because that's the mother that
That's
swapped the baby.
and one day, this is Pucci's sister, okay? This one.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When Pucci's sister was in a restaurant, this person stole her
Mhm.
bag. And the person who helped get the bag back was Weather. So Weather falls in love with this girl, and this girl falls in love with Weather, and they're going out. But they're blood related,
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't know it. So when she got home, she tells Pucci, "Hey, I have a new boyfriend. This is my boyfriend's last name." Because she says like the full name. And he knows this person's last name because she confessed. So he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, the person you're dating is actually your dead brother." And he was like, "Okay, you guys shouldn't be dating because you're blood related." So what Pucci decides to do is to hire a private detective
Mhm.
to break them up. And the private detective turned out to be a member of the KKK. All right. When the KKK was investigating Weather's adoptive father was black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, even though Weather looks white, he has black blood in him. So we need to beat the shit out of him." So, this happens. And then, yeah, he was hanged. And she was like, "Oh, well, you're dead. And my life is over without you. So I'm going to kill myself." And the part that doesn't make sense is that if they were a part of the KKK, why aren't they racist to Pucci?
Oh, so that's why. Yeah.
So Pucci may not be black, because if he was black, he would be racially discriminated against. Anyway, so Pucci was like, "Alright, my sister died and my long lost brother died, and that's on me."
Mm-hmm.
And then he remembered what Dio said, which is, "Do you believe in gravity? There might be a reason why you met me."
Mhm.
So he was like, "Maybe this is all because of fate. I must talk to Dio." And then, because he had the feeling to talk to Dio, he got stabbed by the stand arrow that he was holding. And that's how he got his stand. But Weather was actually alive, even though he's beaten up and hung from a tree. And because he got a stand, Weather also got a stand.
They're also yeah.
Yeah. And Weather decided to kill the private detective who killed his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And he also killed all of the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was gonna kill himself with a gun. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever he tried to shoot a gun at himself, there's always water in the bullet, whatever. So he couldn't kill himself. And because he was so angry with anger,
Uh-huh.
he made a weather phenomenon occur that was so terrifying that Pucci had no other choice but to take his memory away from him, so he doesn't know how to summon that specific weather phenomenon, which is summoning these rainbows.
The rainbows are scary.
They are a side effect of his power. His power is that, you know how there's oxygen and then there's triple oxygen?
Ozone.
Ozone, yes.
Uh-huh.
His power is to break up ozone to cause subliminal messaging to occur.
What's subliminal messaging?
He makes people think that they're turning into snails.
That's not what absence of ozone does, but okay.
Basically, because he broke the ozone, he does subliminal messaging, so everyone thinks they're turning into a snail. And because they think it, they're actually turning into it, but not really. So literally everyone becomes a snail
Mhm.
if they look at the subliminal messaging. And then Pucci realizes that, hey, that blind old woman is not turning into a snail. And it's because she's blind. So Pucci decides to take his sight disc. Pucci can turn a bunch of things into disc, including senses. So he took his sense of sight out.
Okay.
Because he can't look at the messaging. He can't turn into a snail. And that's how he kills Weather. But before Weather dies, Weather uses Pucci's ability to take his stand disc out of himself. So even though he's dead, you have the stand disc.
Wait, so Pucci took disc out of Weather.
No, Weather made Pucci take disc out of Weather.
Wait, Weather made Pucci take disc out of Weather.
Because I think if like Pucci's stand is near you, discs will form. And he
Mhm.
took it out himself or something. Alright, he made his stand into a disc. And because Pucci merged with the green baby, his stand isn't White Snake anymore. His stand is evolving. And in order for it to reach the final evolution, he needs to be in Cape Canaveral at this specific coordinate during the new moon. Okay?
Yes.
So currently, his stand is able to manipulate gravity. So even though this person is standing upright and holding his cup normally, for some reason the cup is spilling. So gravity isn't actually towards the center of the earth. Gravity is where Poochie is. Imagine Poochie as the center of the earth. And Poochie realizes, oh, I don't need to wait for the new moon. Because I need to wait 7 more days or 3 more days or something. But Jolene is like right behind me. But if I get to a higher elevation within the coordinate, I am actually able to reach my stand's final evolution in a shorter time period.
Because
So, for example, he needed to be at this point during May 24. Let's say the moon was like over here. But if he goes to this position on May 23, even if the moon is still here, like the coordinates match up, so evolution can take place. It doesn't make sense, no?
no. No.
So he needs to be at this specific coordinate when the moon is visible.
So if you're at a different spot, then you change where the moon is located.
Yes.
And that okay. Makes more sense now.
Okay, thank God. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So White Snake evolves into Sea Moon, which is the gravity thing, and Sea Moon evolves into Made in Heaven, and Made in Heaven's power is to accelerate time. Physics has proven that there is a special relationship between gravity and time. For example, the stronger the gravitational power, the slower time moves. It is impossible to explain this phenomenon in detail. But Made in Heaven is able to manipulate gravity to accelerate time.
Okay. Yeah.
And the only person who is able to freely move in accelerated time is Poochie and God. So, Dio is this very tragic person, as you watched from JoJo Part 1.
Yeah.
And his entire life is filled with misfortune. And after being stuck in the coffin for 100 years, he thought a lot. And the conclusion he came to was, if I knew what my future was going to be, I don't think I would be suffering. Because I would just accept that my life is bad. Instead of like struggling to fight against my bad life. So he was like, oh, so I think that's what true happiness is. If everyone knows exactly what's going to happen to them in their life, and they just learn to accept whatever happens. So the concept of heaven is that Poochie will accelerate time so much that the entire universe resets.
So there's like a time loop thing.
Yes. So, like, let's say this is universe 1. Poochie will accelerate time until this universe ends. And even if time is accelerated, actions are still being taken. They're just being taken so fast. But no one is dying. Even though time is accelerated, people are not dying. They're not like instantly turning old. And time accelerates until Universe 1 is dead. Because at some point, the universe will die.
Yes.
And then a new universe will start. And there is a theory that when the universe starts, the similar things will occur. Like, for example, the Big Bang will happen again. Earth will cool again, dinosaurs will die again, and the theory is taken to such an extreme where people will take the same actions. So if you accelerate time, and people have been taking actions during accelerated time, and the universe has reset into a new one, people would know what actions have been taken, and they can essentially see the future. But they can't change the future. The only person who can change what's going to happen is Poochie, and that is the idea of Dio's heaven. At this point, Jotaro shows back up in the story to help the gang. The gang was so close to beating Poochie. But Jotaro had 2 options. Number 1, he is able to save his daughter Jolene from an attack that will end her life. After he saves Jolene, he will kill Poochie. Or number 2, he can kill Poochie instantly, but that means not defending Jolene, so Jolene will die. And even though he's been such a bad father, deep down, Jotaro still loves his daughter. So he decides to defend Jolene.
Yeah.
But because he defended Jolene, he was late by 2 steps, which is literally like 0.1 of a second or something. So they were not able to beat Poochie. And Poochie kills all of them except Emporio.
Okay.
So basically, if you're alive, you can see the future when the universe resets. But because in Poochie's eyes, they are all sinners, they don't deserve to be in heaven. So he kills all of them, so they are not able to go to heaven.
Okay.
The only person able to go to heaven is Emporio. And this is like the whole thing.
Wait, that's it? That's how it ends?
No. This is like the universe reset thing. So this is when the story starts. This part. This is when he gets Stan to accelerate time. He accelerates time until universe ends and universe exists again. And once the new universe has existed, he slows down time. Okay, so like, for example, Emporio knows this guard's going to trip. This guard also knows that this guard's going to trip. And he also knows that he's going to trip. So that's what it means to see the future, but he can't stop.
Yeah.
Am I going to step on these papers and trip? No, of course not. I'm just going to be careful. But he trips anyway, because that's how it works.
Yeah.
There's a fate. and people are following a predestined plan.
Mhm.
So, because the only person who can change anything in this new universe is Pucci, Emporio needs to make Pucci do something so that Emporio gets an edge. And Pucci was gonna punch Emporio,
Yeah.
but instead of hitting his face, he inserted Weather Report's stand disc into Emporio. Because Emporio put the stand disc on his head, but it won't go in, because that's not what Fate planned. But because Pucci did a punch, Pucci
Mhm.
was the one who inserted the disc. So Fate was altered. So Emporio had the power, obtained the power of Weather, and using that power, he was able to defeat Pucci. This whole Fate thing, it stops, because he needed to accelerate the universe to this point. But he stopped accelerating at this point to kill Emporio, but he failed. So
Mhm.
this whole thing doesn't happen. Emporio killed Pucci, and he escaped from the prison. And
Mhm.
when he gets out from the prison, he meets this girl and this guy, Irene and
Mhm.
Anarchis,
Mhm.
who is this universe's equivalent to Jolene and Anasui. And the reason why their name is changed is because, like, the Joestars were destined to fight Dio. But now that the threat of Dio has actually disappeared for real this time,
Mhm.
there's no need for JoJo's anymore.
Mhm.
So her name isn't Jolene Joestar. It's like Irene Joestar now.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
this is supposed to signify that the threat of Dio is over, and that's how the part ends, with everyone from the original universe
Wow.
dying except for Emporio.
Okay. That was a ride.
Did I explain this part properly?
mm, it was okay.
What
There
do you mean
were.
it was okay?
I mean, it was good. Yeah. Obviously, there are still some parts which I do not have 100% understanding of, especially the time loop part. But I get 95% of it.
Okay, that's good. Because the time loop part,
Yes.
a lot of
Mhm.
fans also don't understand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine that is to be the case.
This is my second favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Part
I can
seven.
see why that is. Yeah.
Part seven is my favorite part. It's the best part of JoJo. Now, okay, what do you think about JoJo now? After I explained part one to part six.
It's complicated and yeah, also interesting. Yeah.
Would you give JoJo a chance now?
I think I would.
The answer is you don't
I
have a
think I'll.
choice. Because I'm gonna
Okay.
force you to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. From everything I've explained, which one is your favorite part to listen to?
I think it has to be this part because it was the most detailed and also interesting.
I honestly thought this would take 1 hour.
It took more.
It took 2 hours, Welson.
One part. Oh god.
So thank you guys so much for watching. Probably no one's watching this at this point in the video, but it's okay. If you like this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's gonna be a 2 hour video. I'm gonna suffer during editing. Thank you for being here with me, Wilson. Is there any last words you want to say to the audience members?
I imagine no one has made it this far, so I can't. Just thank you if you've watched this far.
If you've
I
made it this far,
Yes,
comment out of the box
really.
and the disaster of fashion.
That's a lot of dedication to put into watching the entire series. So thank you, and that's amazing that you stuck through with everything. Okay.
We're all gonna go to sleep now. Have a
Mhm.
fantastic night, morning, or evening, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.